Hi, my name is Jim Marshall and I oversee the clinical operations for JourneyCare. I'm here today to talk to you about our inpatient centers. We have inpatient centers throughout our 10-county Chicagoland coverage area. We like to look at our centers as though they're the intensive care units for our agency. Oftentimes we'll have patients in the home who'll experience a sudden onset of acute symptoms that can't be managed in the home. We transfer them into our inpatient center where our interdisciplinary team, comprised of a hospice physician, nurses, certified nursing assistants, chaplains, a social worker, and a group of volunteers can get their arms wrapped around whatever it is that brought the patient into our center, resolve the issues, and get them home and well managed as quickly as possible. I'm very proud of the fact that we do a lot of live discharges from our centers, as our product in hospice is excellent pain and symptom management. We also utilize our centers for individuals who are transitioning from the hospital setting to the home setting. Maybe the family needs some education on how best and most effectively be able to care for their loved ones, so when they get home, we have optimal outcomes. In some instances, we do have individuals who will come to our centers for end-of-life care as well. I'll tell you a little story about one of my experiences in our center that I will take with me for the rest of our life. We had a man who came to us. He'd spent 10 and a half months in the hospital, and he came to us so that we could provide education and support for his family on how to care for him when he got home to his condo in a neighboring village. He had a wide variety of medical issues, and his prognosis was very short. He was in our unit for a few days, and he asked if he could speak to me. I said, sure. And he said, I have a plan, and this room is so big and it's so warm, I feel like I could define my goals of care much better here than I could in the small space where I live. Would you allow me to do that? And I said, of course we would. We'd be honored. Over the course of about a week's time, he had his sons bring in his favorite meals from local restaurants all over the place. He had friends come in and do life review in video and in pictures. His significant other would come spend the night with him before bed. He'd have a martini with blue cheese stuffed olive, and his significant other would have a glass of wine. He had two musician friends come in and actually audition songs that he chose for his memorial. We had some wonderful discussions. We had some friendly arguments. And as great of a guy as he was, we did disagree on one thing. I'm a Northsider, Cubs fan. He was a Sox fan. And we used to have some very friendly, fun arguments with that. I had a portrait of Wrigley Field that hung perfect on his TV. I'd hang it on his TV and say, come on, the game's on, let's watch. And we'd have our little verbal sparring matches. Well, it was a Wednesday evening. I went into his room, shook his hand and said, until that time, my friend. He said, until that time. That night, in the family dining room on the center that he was in, he and his family had a lobster dinner brought in. He again had his signature martinis with blue cheese stuffed olives. They all celebrated his life, shared some wonderful stories. And the next morning, he died very, very peacefully in his sleep. We had a celebration of life for him. Later that afternoon, I went into my office, and tied to my desk chair was a helium-filled White Sox balloon. I brought it out to the nurses' station, and I asked my team, does anybody know anything about this? Nobody knew anything. And all I could do was look up and say, oh, you got me. Man, talk about getting the last one in. That's something that I'll take with me for the rest of my life. This man chose to honor us by spending his remaining days in our inpatient center, and the gifts that he gave us, the gifts that he gave me, were just unbelievable. Sometimes I don't know who gets more, those we serve or us. That's just a little bit about the amazing work that we're privileged to do every day. Thank you.